Welcome to episode 2 of Chirpin and Chattin. I'm Leslie.
I'm Betty, and this is Puka.
Welcome back. Last time we left off on Genesis 5, continuing from Genesis 5. So, first, what we want to do is just start with prayer so that we can get right into the word. Let's bow our heads, close our eyes if we can, pray in the comfort of our heart, and let's just go ahead and begin. Glorious Father, we give you thanks for each and every person, Jesus, that is listening to our voices, Lord. May you be of great blessing to each and every one of us, Lord. May your kingdom grow and grow beyond compare, Jesus. We want to exalt you in everything that we do, Lord. May you help us, guide us, give us of your word, Jesus, your word that is holy, Lord, and that is living, full of wisdom and wonders, Jesus. We ask you, Lord, to help us, reveal things to us in our reading, Jesus. We praise you, Lord. We give you honor and glory, Jesus, above all things. We pray over this community that we are starting, Jesus. May you build up a community of believers hungry for your word, Jesus. We praise you and we bless you above all things, glorious Father. We praise you. In your glorious name we pray. Amen. So let's continue on Genesis 5. That's where we left off. On the descendants of Adam. Let's go ahead and start. This is the written account of the descendants of Adam. When God created human beings, he made them to be like himself. He created them male and female, and he blessed them and called them human. When Adam was 130 years old, he became the father of a son who was just like him, in his very image. He named his son Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Adam lived 930 years, and then he died. When Seth was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh. After the birth of Enosh, Seth lived another 807 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh was 90 years old, wow, they're starting really old when they become fathers.
90 years old, imagine right now.
That one's like the least one. Adam was 130 when he had Seth, but of course he had already had Cain and Abel. And then Seth, when he was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh, which is very close to the firstborn of Cain, was Enoch.
I know.
When Enosh was 90 years old, he became the father of Canaan. After the birth of Canaan, Enosh lived another 815 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enosh lived 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan was 70 years old, he became the father of Mahalalel. After the birth of Mahalalel, Kenan lived another 840 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Kenan lived 910 years, and then he died.
910 years.
Imagine living that long. I couldn't imagine it.
It's
like we said last time, that it's a work-filled life, of course. And if you live for that long,
I think that people will more relax, I guess. That's why they live more.
Well, yeah, they take like the stages of life, I guess, would be like longer, right? Childhood would be longer, and then adolescence would be longer, and then the young adult, like parents would be, they have more time, right? But of course they were people of campo, which is like people from
agriculture.
Exactly.
And
they cultivated the land, which was what their descendants, God would told them that they were going to work off the land.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they had to start like that for us to get where we are now, right? And then we go on to verse 15. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he became the father of Jared. After the birth of Jared, Mahalalel lived another 830 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Mahalalel lived 895 years, and then he died. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enoch. The same name.
Cain had a son named Enoch. But this one was a really good person.
Well, yeah,
You will
because
see in a few minutes why.
these are the descendants of Seth.
Yeah.
What was this? In a sense, we're gonna read, but this was like kind of a redemption, right? We'll continue reading and then we'll continue talking about that. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. After the birth of Methuselah, Enoch lived in close fellowship with God for another 300 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enoch lived 365 years walking in close fellowship with God. Then one day he disappeared because God took him. Of course,
He didn't die.
Yeah.
He disappeared.
Because God took him. Wow. Yeah, that always amazes me. That part where it says that because it was included in his paragraph of his summary of life, which was all the other people, they had kids and then they died.
They just died.
Yeah, that was like what we saw.
They lived. That's it. Little line. That's it.
But with Enoch, which is the representation of God's redemption, his promise of being in close fellowship with people, of course, right? Well, yeah, because it says like at the end of the 4th chapter, when we saw the paragraph last time of the birth of Seth, which was from verse 25 to the 26th verse, at the end, I don't know if people remember, but it said, at that time people first began to worship the Lord by name. And then we go to the 5th chapter, that was the end of the 4th chapter, and then we go to the 5th chapter, and then we go with Enoch, and we see the fruit of the people
of redemption.
Correct.
Kind of,
of people reconnecting with God and walking in close fellowship with Him now. So they're having that opportunity, right? So then we go to verse 25. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he became the father of Lamech. After the birth of Lamech, Methuselah lived another 782 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Methuselah lived 969 years.
That's the one.
And then he died. That was the longest amount of time, right?
Yeah, that's the longest that a person, a human being have lived.
Documented, right?
Documented in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the Sunday school questions. Who was the person that lived the longest?
Well, it's just 36 years less, 39 years
The second,
more than
the
Adam.
second was Adam.
Wow.
That lived the longest.
When Lamech was 182 years old, he became the father of a son. Lamech named his son Noah, for he said, "May he bring us relief from our work and the painful labor of farming this ground that the Lord has cursed." After the birth of Noah, Lamech lived another 595 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Lamech lived 777 years, and then he died. What a nice number, 777.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's 777. Wow. I know, Puka.
After Noah was 500 years old, after he was 500, became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
500. He was old.
Wow. And then we move on to chapter 6.
A world gone wrong. Wow. Then the people began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw the beautiful woman and took any they wanted as their wives. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not put up with humans for such a long time, for they are only mortal flesh. In the future, their normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years."
And 120 years is pushing it right now.
Yeah, I know. It's just we do have.
It's depleted.
It has been with the years. Yeah, I was remember one psalm, but yeah, that it says we live 70 them with pain and uncomfortable on life up to 80. So in here is 120. We're going back. Okay. In those days, and for some time after, giants, ne- Nephilites, Nephilites
Don't distract Mom, Puka. She's reading.
live on the earth, for whenever the sons of God had intercourse with women, they gave birth to children who became heroes of famous warriors in ancient times. Okay.
Well, that's what in other versions it says angels. It's like the sons of God. They're angels, right?
Well, I think there's another version that it says that the word giants.
No, yeah, they were the offspring of angels coming down and taking wives. Because it says the sons of God. And in verse 2, the sons of God saw the beautiful women, and they took any they wanted as their wives.
Oh, yeah.
That part.
That part is in different versions. It says different, a little bit, like instead of sons of God, it says angels. Yes.
Yeah, that's what
correct.
I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah. Okay, number 5. The Lord observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth, and he saw that everything that they thought or imagined was consistently on and totally evil. So the Lord was sorry he had ever made them and put them on the earth. That's so sad to just make God
And then it
be
says,
sorry for your own creation, like
wow,
for the creation that it just
he
so
intended for close proximity with us, right? And then at the end of that it says it broke his heart.
yeah.
So that's like really sad that there had been so much wickedness and so much evil that God's heart literally broke. And we know through the Bible that it just we get like little glimpses of God's heart and who he is and how multidimensional of a being he is. And he can feel, like we know, he can feel love, he can feel grace, he can give you grace, he can feel mercy for people, but he could also get angry. But this part is like it broke his heart, as in he was very, very sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just one that moment it is for me it is so terrifying and a sense of making somebody that you love
Sad.
brokenhearted. And the Lord said, I will wipe the human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, and I will destroy every living thing, all the people, the large animals, and all animals that scurry along the ground, and even the birds wow, of the sky. I am sorry I ever made them. But Noah found favor with the Lord. That is a good thing. At least one person found favor.
And then we see from the story of Noah that because Noah found favor, then his family, his descendants
Yeah.
were able to survive through, which was a really hard time. Of course, we know the story of Noah. Those that have read it, of course, it's the flood over the earth, like extinguishing all the animals and all of the people of the earth. But how powerful that because of one man, a whole family was redeemed, right?
Yeah.
And then we go on to the story of Noah, verse 9. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on the earth at the time, and he walked in close fellowship with God. Noah was the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now God saw The earth had become corrupt and was filled with violence. God observed all this corruption in the world, for everyone on earth was corrupt. So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them all out along with the earth. Build a large boat from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar, inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. Make the boat 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. The details. The details of the dimensions.
I like this version of the Bible because it tells you in inches and in feet.
It makes it English, American
yeah.
English to you.
It's easier to understand it.
Well, yeah, because you just calculate and you're like, okay, I know how many inches. Yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
How many feet? Yes, feet wide, feet high, 45 feet. Yeah, so you're just imagining the magnitude of the boat that God was asking Noah to build, of course. Leave an 18-inch opening below the roof of all the way around the boat. Put the door on the side and build 3 decks inside the boat, lower, middle, and upper. Look, I am about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on earth will die, but I will confirm my covenant with you. So enter the boat, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring a pair of every kind of animal, a male and a female, in the boat with you to keep them alive during the flood. Pairs of every kind of bird and every kind of animal and every kind of small animal that scurries along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. And be sure to take on board enough food for your family and for all the animals. So Noah did everything exactly as God had commanded. And that part always amazes me because and we see this is the account of Noah and his family, which is like they're remembering this. Like he remembers all these little details that God,
like 2 of this, and I was like, I have my brain goes into the moment that the animals are walking close to him and walking like there has to be any type of animals. It has
like there
to.
was no zookeeper like
No.
corralling
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
animals in. No, they were literally coming in. They were coming to him, and they were just going on the boat because, well, of course, God had given them that instinct and that like just to go,
To obey.
obey. Yeah,
Obey
exactly.
the not to eat each other.
Of course, and that's also
Uh-huh.
amazing part, right? The sectioning, like this boat is massive for us.
Of
Yes,
course.
it's
Uh-huh.
massive, but when you think about the animals and 2 pairs of each, and the birds and every kind of animal and every kind of small animal that scurries, like that's a lot of animals to be kept in a 450-foot long, 75-foot wide boat and just 45 feet high, which is like, yeah, that's big, but like now we have like skyscrapers, of course, and we're like, that's massive. But at that time, that was really, really big. What
I
God was
know.
demanding Noah to build, and the fact that he built that, he built it.
Yeah. With his own
2
hands.
hands. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like no seesaws, no like electric, I don't know, Hummer, electric, whatever that we have right now.
It was from tools from the past, which I don't know.
I do not know how. For me, it is impossible to think that a human being could do that. That massive vehicle, or not a vehicle, it's just well, the boat, an ark,
Oh, and then, but I feel like God. That's
a
why.
vessel,
That's
actually.
that's why God does the impossible so that we as humans have no way of taking credit of it.
That's true. That is
Because
true.
if God gives us like a little bit of a sliver of like, okay, yeah, any human could have done this, then we would take credit for any and everything that God demands of us, of
That's
course.
true.
But God in his glory kind of already, like in his wisdom, he knows, he's like, okay, what is something that yes, a man can do, but only with my power behind them, of course,
Yeah, that's it.
when we think about it,
Yeah,
right?
that's the only way that we can do all the things that sometimes are impossible for a lot of people. But His glory is the one that accomplished
Amen.
everything. His wisdom, His everything.
The flood covers the earth. Chapter 7. When everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the boat with all your family, for among all the people of the earth, I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female, of each animal I have approved for eating and for sacrifice. And take 1 pair of each of the others. Also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and a female in each pair to ensure that all life will survive on the earth after the flood. 7 days from now I will make the rains pour down on the earth, and it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights, until I have wiped from the earth all the living things I have created." So Noah did everything as the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood, he and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them all the various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with all the birds and the small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. After 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the second month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. The rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. Wow. That part always impacts me, that there was water coming out of the ground, because the water falling from the sky wasn't enough to flood as intensely and fast.
Yeah, it's just
And then we're on to verse 13.
13.
That very day Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them in the boat were pairs of every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, along with birds of every kind. 2 by 2 they came into the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. That's the part where most people have heard the 2 by 2. They came onto the boat.
That's the only part that they read. Well,
Well, that like sticks with you,
uh-huh,
because the pairs 2 by 2 they came,
and that's it.
and that's how many were on the boat. But it was more quantity than what we imagine, which is just like the pairs. There were other animals that were on there just for other purposes as well.
Yeah.
On to 16. A male and female of each kind entered just as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. Dang, that's powerful. The Lord closed it.
Yeah, that's I was gonna mention that, like, the Lord closed the
Because it was
doors, like
probably
not
that
him.
heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think that they could have closed the doors themselves. That they needed, like, God's power.
It's more like a seal, I think. It
Okay.
is more like a, okay, I'm gonna close it. It's like a mom or dad closing the doors.
Because he's in charge of
Yeah.
what's happening. But I
Mm-hmm.
see also the magnitude of the weight of what it was. Like, physicality.
Okay.
Yes, I think in both aspects it's true. It was like saying how God was the one that was in charge of this whole thing that happened with the
The
flood, and
situation.
of course, and he was guiding Noah through what he needed to do. But then also he closed the doors because I imagine that it was probably really heavy, because it was a massive boat for massive amounts of animals and of the people that were on it too, the family.
Yeah.
17. For 40 days the flood waters grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains on the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. Above the peaks of the mountains.
Of the mountain.
Wow. All the living things on earth died: birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on the earth: people, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and the birds of the sky. All were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those with him in the boat, and the flood waters covered the earth for 150 days.
150 days.
That's a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of people die. The flood recedes. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the flood waters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing. It was still going on. Okay. And the torrential rains from the sky were stopped. So the flood waters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months. So it made sure for me to calculate
The conversion.
the conversion of it. Exactly 5 months from the time that the flood. Yeah,
That's a lot. I know,
That's a lot.
Buka. Imagine you couldn't stand on land. You love to stand.
Exactly 5 months from the time that the flood began, the boat came to rest on the mountain of Ararat. 2.5 months later,
After the 5 months.
2 months more, so that's 7 months already. As the waters continued to go down, other mountains' peak became visible. After another 40 days, okay, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry grounds. But the dove could find no place to land because the water still covered the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held up his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Oh my goodness, that's cool. And then Noah knew that the flood waters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again. This time it did not come back. Okay. Noah was now 601 years old.
A year from when it started, because it
1 year,
started at
yeah.
600 years.
Yeah, it was 5, and then 2 more, and then 40 days more, and then it add up to 1 year. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, right there. The flood waters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives left the boat. And all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offering the animals and birds that had been approved by the by for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent towards evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be plenty and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night. It was heavy for me right there. Like God decided to pardon us. Like even though we didn't do good, and He knew that we're like bent towards evil from childhood. I just, but God is merciful and is giving us a chance.
Yes. 9. God confirms his covenant. Then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. All the animals of the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. I have given them to you for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables. But you must never eat any meat that still has the life blood in it.
Okay.
And I will require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. If a wild animal kills a person, it must die. And anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person's life will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in his own image. Now be fruitful and multiply and repopulate the earth. Then God told Noah and his sons, I hereby confirm my covenant with you and your descendants, with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, every living creature on earth. Yes, I am confirming my covenant with you. Never again will floodwaters kill all living creatures. Never again will the flood destroy the earth.
Never again.
He's been faithful through that promise. Then God said, I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you and with all living creatures for all generations to come. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is a sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you, with all the living creatures. Wow. The rainbow, the beautiful rainbow. Roy G.
Yep.
Biv. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth. Then God said to Noah, Yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on earth. Noah's sons. The sons of Noah who came out of the boat with their father were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. Canaan or Canaan? I think it's Canaan.
Probably.
From these 3 sons of Noah came all the people who now populate the earth. After the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground and he planted a vineyard. One day, oh no, Noah. See that? And he was the righteous one, but he still had humanity in him.
Yeah.
Like he was righteous and before God and he found favor in his eyes, but that still didn't exclude him or make him immune to have human actions and errors, of course.
Bad
And then
decisions.
we see the decision that he made.
Mm-hmm.
So one day he drank some wine he had made, and he became drunk and lay naked inside his tent. I mean, at least he was inside his own tent. He wasn't outside, right?
Yeah.
Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went outside and told his brothers. Oh my goodness. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe, held it over their shoulders, and backed into the tent to cover their father. As they did this, they looked the other way so they would not see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned what Ham, his youngest son, had done. Then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. May Canaan be cursed. May he be the lowest of servants to his relatives. Then Noah said, May the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed, and may Canaan be his servant. May God expand the territory of Japheth. May Japheth share the prosperity of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. This proclamation is just like out of the desperation. He was just like out of his own feelings, his emotions. He literally like condemned him for such a small action, but I mean, that's how it is. Sometimes you
back then it was more
of honor
and
and respect.
Mm-hmm. And we sometimes still make decisions like that as a parent. Sometimes we make mistakes and we take it on our kids, and that's bad.
But you see, we're seeing it live in action here.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, do you call on God? God, like make a whole covenant with God? That's crazy though. It's just kind of hard because like we're reading this, but in that moment, what the rules were at that time and like the structure of society at that time was for ultimate respect for the parents. So I guess it was just like Shem and Japheth had kind of they were warned, so they knew what to do after the fact that Ham came.
Yeah.
And he told them. But I mean, I think it would have been different maybe if Ham would have seen his father, turned around, and then like covered him instead of going straight to his brothers. But I mean, he was the youngest. It's just like it's hard to say.
You never know how you're gonna react.
Yeah.
When you see your parent doing something, and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You have to decide at the moment, and in his case was for the worst.
Yeah. Noah lived another 350 years after the great flood. He lived 950 years and then he died. We finished on chapter 9. Next time we will start on chapter 10, which is just a little bit of a heads up. We're going to be reading the descendants, the names, the long paragraphs. But I think that it's really important to not get discouraged with like the names. Sometimes if I wasn't reading it out loud, I don't think that I would be pronouncing them, trying to pronounce them as they are. But I think that's like something that I need to work on. Anyway, yeah. Anyways, that's for next time. And we'll leave it at that. And basically, what we read was the story of Noah, his descendants, and then their voyage and their travels in the flood, and how impactful that was, and how because of his favor and the favor that God found on Noah, we were able to see a whole family be redeemed. So with that, if there's anyone that's struggling with being the only believer in their family, just know that God can grant like the desires of our hearts, of course, but we just need to continue praying for those around us. And when God finds favor in us, like he gives things and he answers our prayers, and the more that we seek him, the more that he answers, of course. So this is just like a little bit of encouragement, I think, showing how one man can redeem his entire family in a moment of crisis before like disaster, of course. with that, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, blessings, and we hope to see you next time. Right, folks?
Bye.
Say bye. No? Bye.